Thanks for joining me today. We've got a fun topic on the docket. We're going to talk about training for aesthetics, and more specifically, my thoughts on training for aesthetics. So we're going to dive into a conversation on that. I'd love to hear your thoughts as we go along. And we're just going to give it a moment to let some people jump on and join us on this Wednesday. Say hi if you're here. Let me know in the chat. Let me know if you have any questions on training for aesthetics today. Hey, May, thank you for joining. Glad that you're here. I'm sipping a little hot chocolate, in case anybody's wondering. It's delicious. Hi, Kettlebell Solo. Yes, this is going to be a great one. Thank you for moderating. I've got my moderator here today, so I don't have to spend so much time moderating through the interesting comments. Thank you, May. Appreciate it. Yeah. Oh, it feels so light and easy to like take care of my hair. I don't have to do anything to it. It's awesome. Hi, Cheryl. Thanks for joining from Massachusetts. Appreciate you being here today. We're just giving a moment for people to jump on and join us before we get started talking about training for aesthetics. My thoughts on training for aesthetics. Love to hear your thoughts as we go along, your questions, your comments on what I'm sharing. That's what we're here on the live for. Hey, Moses. Yes, I did like that picture. All right. We're going to go ahead and dive in and start talking about this. So, why am I covering this topic? So, many people focus on aesthetics and weight loss or fat loss, which I kind of group into the same group as aesthetics. I know it's not exactly the same, but I kind of group those in together. So a lot of people are really focused on that when it comes to exercise. Hey, South to West, thanks for joining. Cheryl, I'm not sure if there's a typo in your question. If you're asking what is aesthetics, aesthetics is like the look, like your outward appearance. Okay, so while I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting or desiring a change in the aesthetics of your body and changing what your body looks like, I don't think it's a healthy place to focus when it comes to your health, your exercise, your nutrition. So when we focus on kind of like reducing ourselves, like we're trying to lose weight, we're trying to get smaller, we're trying to change how we look. Oftentimes how people approach this is they cut out like certain enjoyable things, or they cut out certain foods altogether, or they take extreme measures thinking that this is going to get them to a place where they look better physically, you know, because there's a lot of info out there. There are a lot of, celebrities and models and Instagram influencers who are sharing what they're doing, and we're assuming that those things are what we need to do in order to look like them, which of course is false because we're never going to look like anybody else. But oftentimes these things are very extreme. There's many celebrities or influencers that are eating close to nothing. There's people who are doing extreme amounts of exercise. There's people who are doing elimination diets, extreme cutting, fasting, all kinds of things that we see, and we kind of start to think, well, that must be what I need to do in order to look like this person. And I think that is unhealthy, of course, as most of us know that's unhealthy. Yet somehow we often leave health by the wayside in order to look better so that other people will maybe either like us more or think we're attractive or respect us more. That's kind of, I think, the reason why people might focus on what they look like or wanting to change that, because oftentimes, I mean, that is a real phenomenon that obviously like women who are beautiful and have nice bodies get a lot of benefits in our society, right? Or similarly with guys who are strong and really fit, people are going to look at that person and kind of idolize them. Daniel said health is wealth. That's right. Cheryl, I would just like to see what I am. Yeah, that's good. So I guess the point of this is our health is not just physical. It's not just based on a look. You also can't determine somebody's health by what they look like. Somebody might look, might have kind of a banging bod and they may not necessarily be healthy. I have a specific story from that because when I first became a personal trainer and started working at a gym, I started working out all the time, multiple times per day. And I was just ripped, and everybody thought I looked amazing and would compliment me on my body and how fit I was and strong and I want to look like you and all these things. But the reality under the surface was that I was overtraining and I actually lost my period for 6 years. So I actually really messed with my hormonal balance in my body. So while there was a lot of people who were looking at me and thinking, I want to look like you, they didn't know the reality of what was underneath, which was that it was not healthy. And even though I enjoyed and wanted to look that way in the moment, I also didn't realize the repercussions of messing with my hormonal balance that way in a way that I'm still actually recovering from more than 10 years after the fact. So just looking a certain way is a very poor way to judge health or to base health on. And that's just one example. There's other examples, of course. I think, I do think that your look, the way somebody looks can tell you something about their health. I don't really subscribe to the movement, the body positive movement to the extreme where like if you're really, really obese and overweight, that you could be perfectly healthy. I do think that there are health consequences for being very, very overweight. Same with being like very, very underweight or chronically under-eating or over-exercising or things like that. So extremes on either end, I believe, are unhealthy. And I think there's a place to be found of moderation. And I think that your health depends on so much more than even just nutrition and exercise and sleep. It also depends on your emotional health, your psychological health, thoughts that you habitually run through your head, the way you talk to yourself. I really believe that health is holistic. So you can't just base your goals on what you look. I mean, you of course can base your goals on it, but the reason I think it's unhealthy is because it's very easy to become obsessive. People can often develop eating disorders or body dysmorphia through just overly focusing on what they look like, their weight, their body fat, when there's so much more to health than just those things. I also believe that we have an idea in our mind of what we want ourselves to look like, or if I look like this, if I lose 20 pounds, if I, whatever, fill in the blank with whatever it is for you, people think then I will be happy, then I will like myself, then everything will be good, then I won't have to obsess or stress over this. Unfortunately, that's rarely true. That's kind of like a lie we tell ourselves, because the reality is that when you get to that place, say you're like, okay, I need to lose these 20 pounds and then I'm going to be happy with myself, I'm going to like the way I look, you're likely going to get to that place and you're still not going to be happy with yourself. You're either going to go, oh, I want to put on more muscle, or I still, now I want to lose an extra 5 pounds, whatever it is. If you're just wanting to change yourself to appease something psychological, emotional, or spiritual within you, it's not going to work. So I guess maybe my point is not that you can't have goals for aesthetics, but if your aesthetic goals are based on something other than, if those goals are trying to fulfill something psychologically, emotionally, or spiritually, then you're unlikely to ever be satisfied with it, and you're likely to just kind of get obsessive and keep moving down that rabbit hole. And most of us can't really have an aesthetic goal without having any attachment psychologically, emotionally, or spiritually to it. Maybe there's some people out there who could purely look at it as like, a, aesthetic and not connect anything else to it. But for most of us, I think there's going to be other factors tied into that. Hi, Nishant. Thanks for joining. Yes, Daniel, mental, physical, and spiritual health. Absolutely. Yeah, Cheryl makes a good point. She said her neighbor bugs her, affects her mind, trying to achieve her own goals. It can be really difficult not to let other people achieve our own goals. And I think that's where having like a spiritual practice that helps you get in tune with God so that you can know what is the truth for you without basing it on what other people around you are saying or thinking or feeling, because they all have their own biases, their own things that are triggering them to judge other people or to have comments. So it can be difficult not to let other people affect how we feel about ourselves or what our goals are. I think we're all affected by it. I think the most important thing is being aware that we're affected by it, and how are we being affected by it so we can decide whether we want to make the choice that is based on what other people want or expect from us, or really truly what either we want or what we believe God wants for us. Thanks for joining, May. Be sure to catch the replay. Yes, Daniel, it's a good point. Reflect on where you started, where you're at now. We forget to appreciate the process. Stick06 says, as I get older, I'm more just interested in mobility and functionality. Yes, that's awesome. That's a good thing to focus on. I truly believe that when we become healthy on the inside, it will reflect on the outside. So I believe that you don't need to focus on aesthetics to get an aesthetic improvement. In fact, I think that makes it harder. So I think it's better to just focus on your health on all levels. Of course, that includes your sleep, your stress, your nutrition, your exercise, but it also includes your emotional and psychological and spiritual health and taking care of that. Because if you're healthy on the inside, it will show, and it may not necessarily show in having what somebody else defines as a perfect beach body, but I think it will show as in you will have like an inner glow, or somebody will look at you and have, like, oh, that person is healthy, or that person is happy with themselves. They get some positive energy coming from you if you are emanating health from the inside out. So what to focus on instead? If you're not focusing on aesthetics and what you look like if you've been going along with this goal of fat loss, or I want to look like X, or I want to lose, this amount of pounds, if that's not your focus, then you might wonder, like, what do you focus on if that's not the focus? So I think that when it comes to, psychologically and emotionally getting to a healthier place, I think it can be helpful to identify unhealthy beliefs, thoughts, and actions that are getting in our way, especially if you're somebody who's been trying to work towards some kind of aesthetic or weight loss, fat loss goal, and you feel like you're failing, or you feel like you're never reaching it. I think identifying ways in which we sabotage ourselves, identifying ways in which we think about things that are actually preventing us from getting there, that self-awareness can be really helpful. Like what self-limiting beliefs, what traumas, what unhealthy habits are standing in our way of being truly healthy. Because for some of us, there might be, some experience from our past that has impacted us in a way that affects all of our actions that we take, what we say, how we think about ourselves, and it makes it much more difficult for us to be healthy. Like it's literally maybe a psychological or emotional barrier that's standing in your way from taking the actions that lead you to a healthier place, and that may be something that is a block for you to move forward with your journey to better health. I think questioning your why is another good place to look. So if your goal has been or is, I want to lose 20 pounds. I just really want to lose 20 pounds. Asking yourself, why is that my goal? And trying to be as honest as possible with yourself, whether you're just doing a mental exercise with it or you're writing it down into a journal, like why is that your goal? Because often we'll find that there's outside influences that have told us, that you won't be happy unless you lose weight. You won't be attractive unless you lose weight. Whatever those things are, I think questioning your why is important, and finding a why that goes deeper than those things, like a why that really matters to you and resonates with you deeply. Like, you know, maybe that's you want to have health so that you can live to be there as a positive force in the life of your grandchildren in the future. You know, something that goes deeper than just, you know, I want people to stop making fun of me for, you know, being overweight, which I'm not saying to belittle that if that is something that you're dealing with, because that's not fun. But I think, you know, we have to move beyond. The goal has to be deeper than and have more meaning than just appeasing people who don't like us or people who are taking out their traumas on us, because that is not our responsibility. So finding a deeper why that's truly your motivation for you and not for anybody else. Yeah, exactly, Cheryl. That's something I'm going to talk about as well. The world commercials or gyms affect our psyche. Like if you don't have a Popeye bicep, you're not healthy. Yeah, there's a lot of marketing and messaging out there, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, because I think that's really important to recognize, is that messaging and what that messaging is trying to do, essentially trying to do to you and trying to make you want, because there's definitely an agenda behind it. And you said you want to exercise so you don't hurt and puff up a flight of stairs. That's a great idea. I mean, that's a great reason to want to get in better shape as well. And I would ask you to dig a little bit deeper than that and say, you know, why is that important? And kind of think of what is that forespell for your future, and where would you like to be in the future? Omar, you said you're doing the knee exercise I showed you because of knee pain. I can't stop all the time. What do you advise about recovery? Yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing it all the time. I would definitely give yourself some recovery in between. If you do like short sets with lower reps and give yourself a break, you could do it more regularly. But definitely, like, I don't know your body and your life, so you're gonna have to kind of tune in and listen. If your knees are kind of sore, you probably overdid it. You know, if you're feeling pretty good, if you got a little whisper in the back of your mind that says maybe you've done enough of them, you know, you got to just tune in and listen, and be sure that you do take at least some recovery. Okay, so what else to focus on if you're not going to focus on your aesthetics or on hitting a certain weight goal? I believe that lasting change comes from honestly looking at where you are now and accepting it so that you can move forward, excuse me, in the appropriate way. So I think often a step that people skip when it comes to, say, making a change to their diet or their exercise or their life is not doing an honest assessment of right now, you know, and kind of feeling maybe the pain of right now. If there's some pain that is making you want to change, being really honest about what that is, because if you don't know where you're starting from, you sometimes make unrealistic steps forward, or you're not really like feeling the pain deeply enough to have the motivation to change, because sometimes we need to feel that deeply in order to actually find that motivation to change. Like, why is where you're at so frustrating or painful, or that you know, what is motivating that change, and being honest with where you are. Because if we don't want to fully look at it because it is painful or uncomfortable or embarrassing, then again, we don't know the right steps to take forward, and we're not being fully honest with ourselves, and then it makes it difficult for us to kind of discern what's right and what's true moving forward, because we didn't start from a place of honesty. So looking at where you are now, even if it's, you know, embarrassing or painful or uncomfortable, looking at that honestly, and you don't necessarily need to tell anybody else, but just doing that exercise with yourself, and accepting it, and that realizing that you are a perfectly lovable and, you know, good human being, regardless of whether you've made mistakes, regardless of, you know, where you're at is not somewhere you want to be, regardless of whether you've failed a bunch of times, regardless of whatever it is that's happened, you're still a worthy and lovable person. And you may want to make some changes, and that's okay. But I think moving from a place of like accepting where we're at, being like, okay, I'm just a person who makes mistakes, and I can move forward and learn from this, rather than coming from a place of self-hatred, you know, like, or I'm disgusting, I'm horrible, I'm so stupid. You know, if we move forward from that, it's not really in alignment with good things. It's not really in alignment with goodness. We want to move forward from a place of like acceptance. You don't have to love where you're at, but accepting it and knowing that your worth isn't tied to what you look like or your body weight or any of those things. And making changes that come from a place of love and care for yourself, instead of, again, like hatred or forcing, because nothing good ever comes from hate and forcing. So coming from a place of love, and how can I treat myself better? How can I take better care of my body? How can I nourish myself? How can I give myself the environment and the like fulfill the needs that I need filled to make better choices, to be a good person, to do the things I want to do in life. So I think that those are important. Hi, Parker Engineering. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, Cheryl said self-talk not good. Yeah, I think it can be very difficult, especially if we've either grown up doing it to ourselves, or maybe we've grown up with other people doing it, whether it's family, whether it's society, whatever voices are in our head, you know, even just becoming aware of maybe where that self-talk comes from, you know. Is it a family member who used to say this, and so that's something that's, you know, in your head? Is it really you? Is it really the core of you that is saying those things to yourself? Or are they coming from elsewhere? And I think bringing awareness to that can help make those voices less powerful and have less power over us. Hi, Rudra. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so a lot of it, I think, comes down to bringing more awareness to the things that stand in your way, because I think that oftentimes it's not that we don't know what the steps are to being healthier. It's not that we don't know what the elements of health are. It's that we have our own unique psychological, emotional, and spiritual challenges that stand in the way. And those things are there for a reason, to teach us the things we need to learn in life. And they can feel insurmountable if you don't do the self-reflection to become aware of like what they are and where they're coming from. And I feel like the better you can understand them, the easier it is to navigate kind of around them, or to be able to step over them and move forward. Southwest said, I found that setting challenges for myself with exercise works well. Yeah, that could be another way that you can set challenges for yourself, rather than focusing on, say, the aesthetics or the weight loss. Rudra said, you seem like a positive person. I try to be. I do my best to be. I think I grew up with a bit more of a pessimistic outlook, but I have always wanted to be more of a positive person. So that's something that, again, similar process of becoming aware of like where some of the pessimism came from, and being like, I don't need to continue with that moving forward. I can be aware that it's there, and then I can choose to show up in a different way. No, I have never run a marathon. Okay, so yeah, I would focus on how can you nourish your body with food, with exercise, with sleep, with enjoyable activities, with experiences in life that light you up. How can you nourish yourself with the things that satisfy you deeply? Because that's what's going to get you to a healthier place in life. You know, no amount of exercise or restriction with your diet can make up for feeling dissatisfied with your life or feeling unfulfilled. Like, those are things that can lead us to making unhealthy choices or searching for unhealthy coping mechanisms. So I think thinking about nourishing ourselves rather than restricting or limiting ourselves is important. Cheryl asks, when you start exercising for health, should you continue the next day? And if you don't, how will you progress? In terms of like how often, I think it's great to take steps every day towards your health. Now, what exactly does that look like? It depends, and this is where it becomes so important to listen to your body and say maybe you did a workout and the next day you're feeling pretty sore. Is the right step to health to push your body through another workout? Is the right step to rest? Is the right step to stretch? Is it to walk? Is it, it could be a number of things, and it depends. It depends on the person. It depends on your situation. It depends on a lot of different things. So again, I think the best thing you can do is learn to tune into your own body and try to interpret what it means. And if you don't know, well, maybe you think, okay, well, maybe it means this, and then you could try it, and then you could see what happens. Like, is there a positive response? Do you end up feeling like that was the right thing to do, or maybe it wasn't the right thing to do, and then you can make adjustments the next time you have a similar feeling? Like, it's a process to learn that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with exercising daily. Now, what that exercise looks like, I do think is important. I think intense exercise daily is a recipe for burnout or injury, but I think you can absolutely move and do exercise daily. It just may not need to be like a weightlifting workout every single day. Maybe it's a walk again, maybe it's some stretching, maybe it's gardening, maybe it's some other physical activity that you enjoy. Unfazed asked for cheapest kettlebells to buy. Honestly, I don't know. I don't focus on the cheapest kettlebells. Probably like if you go to Walmart or something and you grab kettlebells there, that might be like the cheapest kettlebells. Omar asked, what do you think of deep squats and Asian squats for knee muscle strengthening? I think deep squats are great for your knees if they feel okay for you and you progress properly. Like, you don't just go in there and try to hold it for 5 minutes right off the bat if you're not sure how your knees are going to respond. Again, that's going to be, you're going to have to see it. I think deep squats could be great for your knees or terrible for your knees, depending on where you're at in your journey and what's going on with your knees. So it may be a useful exercise, depending on the person. If there's a lot of discomfort or pain, it might not be the best exercise for you, or you need to progress towards it rather than just dropping right into it. Rudra asked, have you ever experienced runner's high? Yes, I used to run a lot, so I have. Okay. So, let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Okay, so other things to focus on rather than your aesthetics or weight loss. So some people mention, focusing on your strength, focusing on exercise challenges for yourself. This also depends where you're at in the journey of exercising and fitness. So focusing on your strength or challenging yourself with like having exercise challenges, I think those might be a little bit further down the road. I think initially, if you're just trying to start to be consistent, or you're just restarting or starting exercise, I think focusing on small changes that are going to contribute to a long-term goal and making them as easy and simple as possible. I think the most common thing that happens when people start an exercise routine or decide they want to get healthier is they bite off more than they can chew, and then they kind of, hit some kind of roadblock, they tweak something, or they get burned out or too tired or sore, and then they kind of stop, and then they kind of go back to what they were doing and don't start again, or it takes them a while to get started again. So I would say make small changes that feel really doable. I think one of the keys here is finding something that's really sustainable for you right now. It doesn't mean you need to do it that way forever, but maybe you start with just something really easy for the first 4 weeks, whether that's you work out once a week, or whether that's you just take 5 to 10 minutes a day to exercise. You make something really simple. And easy, or maybe it's you just start trying to get more hours of sleep every night, or you increase your water intake. Like, make it simple. Both exercising and what your nutrition looks like should be sustainable, and by that I mean, can you imagine yourself doing it in 5 years, 10 years? Could you still do it? Could you still be continuing what you're doing now because it is sustainable if your answer is, oh my God, there's no way I could do this for more than like maybe 8 weeks max. It's probably not a sustainable solution. It's not going to lead you to where you want to go. I do think focusing on like your long-term health and your ability to like build up your immune system and build up your strength in the long run is what's going to lead all of us to our ultimate goal, which is we want to live a long, healthy life. So keeping that in mind with the changes that you make, because yeah, those lasting results come from consistency over a long period of time. And that means your routine needs to be sustainable, and especially in the beginning. And unfortunately, a lot of people kind of go really hard in the beginning, and then maybe they learn through trial and error that doesn't work long term, and then they kind of find a balance later. But I would encourage you, start with that sustainability early on, because it's going to make the process a lot more enjoyable, and you're going to set a really good foundation. You're much less likely to get hurt or to burn out as you go along. And even if you aren't new to exercise, if you already have a routine, maybe looking at, is it sustainable, or is some of it unsustainable and sometimes leads to feeling exhausted, or leads to some tweaks, or I just feel like I need to, my life would be easier if I removed something, finding a way that's really, really sustainable. Yeah, like South to West said, like how I quickly burned out of my 100 push-ups a day goal. Exactly. Like maybe you start with just 5. If you really want to do push-ups daily, maybe you just start with 5 push-ups a day. It adds up. If it seems right off the bat like it might not be sustainable, it's likely not sustainable. Rudra asked, how many times should you run in a week? That really depends. If your goal, you don't necessarily have to run. I don't really run these days because it doesn't feel as good on my body as like just walking or cycling. I also just don't really feel motivated to do it. I think if you're training for a specific race, then you may need to run, 2 to 4 times a week. But just for fitness, you don't have to run. You could run once a week. You could run twice a week. It depends on what other things you're doing and what your body is able to recover from. How often do I have cheat meals? I don't really have cheat meals. I don't subscribe to that kind of ideology of like, oh, I'm on the wagon and now I'm off the wagon with a cheat. I just focus on eating healthy the majority of the time. And if every once in a while I eat some food that's maybe not super healthy, I don't stress about it, because I know that the majority of my diet is healthy, whole unprocessed foods, high quality foods to the best of my ability. So I don't really do cheat meals. I think perhaps if you feel you need cheat meals, your regular diet may be unsustainable. If you feel like you couldn't continue your regular diet without cheat meals, your regular diet is probably too restrictive, in my opinion. I think your diet should include things that you enjoy now and again, and maybe if there's things that you really like to go out to eat, maybe there's ways that you can make something similar at home so that it's a healthier version. But I think you should be able to enjoy the foods that you like, within moderation. But I think, if you really find yourself needing cheat days, your regular diet is probably too restrictive. Absolute. So I never have cheat meals. Just be consistent. Whoa, we're literally the same person. Yeah, I think that's a good way to approach it, is just being consistent and allowing yourself the food here and there. Again, if 80 to 90% of your diet is quite healthy, then if you 10 to 20% of the time eat other things that aren't the best for you, you're going to be okay. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about something that Cheryl touched on this earlier when she was talking about kind of what the media tells us and what different advertisements tell us, in talking about what is a healthy aesthetic or body weight. Like if we're not focusing on it, how do we know if, the way we look or our body weight or our body fat is healthy? How do we know? We often have a very unrealistic idea of this. Again, because what we see in magazines, what we see images of online, we see people posting, often these photos, videos are either curated or, these celebrities are highly focused on what they look like, or maybe some of the social media influencers. So we often have an unrealistic idea of this. We also have an idea of what we think our body should look like when it's healthy, and this may not align with where our body's actually healthy. So my own personal story of that, as I mentioned to you before, when I first started training and I started working out in a way that was very unsustainable, but it worked initially, and I got really ripped. I was just super lean. I had like no body fat. I had just like a ripped six-pack. I associated that with like, ironically associated that with like, that's how I look the best and where I want to be, even though I knew that that was associated with like my hormones being imbalanced and not having my period, but that was kind of what I like wanted to look like. Okay, and I was also like 21 when I looked like that. And come to find later on, as I got to a more balanced place with my body, I realized that might be something that I wanted to look like, but clinging to that idea and trying to work out harder and harder to get there, even though that was actually causing my body to kind of get inflamed and gain weight and hold on to some extra body fat, I was just trying so hard to look like that, but that wasn't where my body was healthy. And when I finally like realized, okay, this is not, what I'm doing is not working. This is going backwards. I'm overtraining. I'm burned myself out completely. I realized that I had to just let go and trust that if I just relaxed a little bit, if I ate healthy and just, moved some, that my body would take a shape that was healthier for it. And there was a period of time where I just kind of stopped working out altogether because I kind of had to disconnect from this obsessive relationship with exercise. And when I just kind of let go of trying so hard, my body actually changed my body weight, my body fat, like the way I looked, it changed in a way that I actually liked better than when I was trying so hard to look a certain way. And I think we have to trust that our body knows the place that's healthy for it. And rather, again, this is why I think it's unhealthy to cling to an idea of what we want to look like or what our body fat or body weight should be, because each person is different. And what you don't really know, what you think is healthy is based on what the media has told you, what maybe a doctor has told you, what people have told you they just have general guidelines and they don't really know what is the healthiest place for your body. Your body, if it's healthy, will function the way it's supposed to, and it will hold on to some body fat, more if you're a woman, but it will shed body fat it doesn't need. Again, this goes back to like, if you nourish your body and treat your body in a healthy way, it will take the shape that's healthiest for it, and you have to trust that that is the shape that's healthiest for it. And again, it may not look like what we think it's supposed to look like, and that's okay. Is it more important to you to look a certain way that was planted in your head by media and messaging, or for your body to actually be healthy? And maybe you could get to a place where you appreciate and enjoy the way that looks because it allows your body to function in the way that's healthy for you. We have been marketed to our whole lives through different industries, and especially women through like beauty industries and magazines and fashion and fitness and health and all these different industries that are making us feel like we are never enough as we are, because they want you to buy something in order to get to that where you want to be. Like, oh, if you just buy this, if you just buy these clothes, you're going to love the way you look. Oh, if you just buy this watch so you can track how many steps you walk. You're being marketed to that you're not enough so that you will buy things. So if you continuously buy into that idea, you will never be happy with your body, and you're spending a lot of money on a lot of different things. It's not to say there aren't some things out there that could be helpful for you, but just understand that you are being marketed to that you're not enough so that you will buy. If you trusted and believed that you were enough as you are and you have everything within you to be healthy, then you would be much harder to sell things to, because you would trust yourself and feel confident in yourself, and you would think, I don't need that. I'm healthy as I am. You would be so much harder to sell to They want you to be insecure, and they want us all to be insecure and to think we're not enough and to motivate us to buy. So just be aware that that's part of what's shaping your idea of what you think you need to look like or what you think is the healthy look. And again, I urge you to remember that just because somebody looks healthy because they got a flat tummy or whatever it is, it doesn't necessarily mean they're healthy. Maybe they're healthy. Hopefully they're healthy, but they may not be. So not basing your experience on what you're seeing online or in a magazine or in the movies or whatever. Yes, Rehan said, my wife was going through the same through menopause. Health is greater than looking like what the media told us. Absolutely. And that's the other thing about, I have to jump in and say this about like perimenopause and menopause because, well, I haven't been through either of those things yet, but I just see a lot of stuff out there about, hey, are you going through perimenopause and menopause and you're holding on to excess pounds? Like, here's the way to really like blast that fat off. And the reality is that your body is probably gaining excess body fat for a reason. There's probably a reason that happens during that phase. So should we just go and try to push ourselves really hard and work really, really hard to get all that fat off? Probably not. That's probably not the healthiest approach, especially when your body is going through a major life change. Trying to force your body to do something else that's potentially unnatural throughout that phase is probably not good. And you'll have to do your own research on this, but I have heard that we gain that weight during menopause for a reason, and there's actually health benefits of gaining that weight during menopause later in life. So trying to force yourself to lose that body fat during that period of time may actually have negative health benefits. Again, I don't know all the details on it. You're gonna have to do some more research on that. But I would really encourage you to do your research and not just be like, oh my God, I've gained extra fat. I'm just so lazy. I need to go and work it off. There may be a reason why that's happening. Our body is very smart. It has wisdom that we don't understand. So if something is happening, maybe diving deeper into why is it happening before just not accepting it and trying to change it. And Cheryl, you had asked me earlier, do you exercise now for health? Yes, absolutely. My main goal is being healthy in the long run, having strength, but being healthy in the long run is really the goal, and to have a more balanced relationship with exercise, because I have had a very obsessive relationship with exercise for many years. And so really focusing on taking enough recovery between workouts and like enjoying the workouts, because I do really love to work out and like working out so I can enjoy it, but also making sure I take enough recovery then before I exercise again, and remembering that exercise is much more enjoyable when you take the rest, and you're going to see much more of the benefits when you allow yourself the recovery time you need. Let's see. Ruja, you asked, what do you think of fat people? That's an interesting question. I think that somebody who has body fat shouldn't be defined by being labeled as a fat person. I think, I don't know, they're people. I don't know what else to say about that. Do you think bullying sometimes works? I think if you ask does it work, like, are you talking about bullying somebody who's fat, like bullying or shaming them for being fat? I think that some people might argue that it works because it humiliates somebody and then makes them want to change, so that they're not going to get bullied or humiliated. So in that sense, it might work. But I think that there's other ways to get to the same place. And I think that if you're the bully, you have to live with being a bully and treating somebody in a cruel way. So I don't think that that's healthy. I think that has an unhealthy like ripple effect out into the world. So while it may have a certain degree of working. I just don't think that being cruel is a solution. I think that being honest and direct is better, and being direct with somebody in a way that's not cruel. When I think of bullying, I think of somebody being cruel and like really humiliating somebody. I do think there's a time and a place to be very direct with somebody, and that may hurt their feelings and that may make them feel uncomfortable, but it may also help them. So I think directness and honesty are a better solution than bullying. I also think that absolutely, you said it worked for you. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or if it actually did work for you, which is interesting. Yeah, that's actually 77X Fiji said you can bring a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. The horse will only drink if it's thirsty. Not all are thirsty. That was kind of what I was thinking is, while you can be direct and honest with somebody about something, there's also the factor of determining what is your business and what isn't. So say if somebody in your life is overweight, someone in your family or friend, you know, maybe they have a lot of excess body fat, and maybe you feel they are very unhealthy and you want to talk to them about it. Maybe that's something that you could be direct and honest with them about and state your concerns and that you think it's unhealthy. But the other consideration is it your business to do that? Because I don't know. It depends on the person. It may or may not be your business to do that, and that really is their life choice. And I think that they have to your point, be thirsty and want to drink, because you could tell them whatever, but it may not be helpful. It may not actually get them anywhere, and it may just make them feel worse about themselves, depending on the person, and that may not help them to change. So, yeah, that's interesting. Absolute said no sarcasm, can't stay weak or you'll get beaten. Yeah, I mean, I think bullying has effects that can be positive. I think any negative experience can have positive growth that comes from it. And I guess you'd have to figure out, did that bullying lead you to move forward from a place of love for yourself or hatred or anger? And, you know, maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I don't know. Everybody has a unique journey. The other thing I wanted to mention is, when it comes to like what is a healthy aesthetic or body weight, is that we often think that being very, very lean is what's healthiest. And there are trade-offs to being very, very lean. So it also depends on the person, because there's some people, for example, there's some women who can be very, very lean and it doesn't mess with their hormones. They did it the right way and they're good. There's people like myself who got very, very lean in a way that was not healthy for my body, and, you know, reaped the consequences of that. And there was a lot of trade-offs for being that lean. So I think it's normal to have some body fat, especially for women. I think women need a certain amount of body fat to have healthy hormones. But even for guys, there's a level where being super, super lean might also be unhealthy. It just may be harder to tell, because I think women are more sensitive to a lot of stress or to being very lean. So it might be easier to tell as a woman. As a man, there may be less signs leading into it. So I've shared this before, but it's a good article by Precision Nutrition that says the cost of getting lean, is it really worth the trade-off? So there's trade-offs to the level of leanness that you achieve, and I just dropped the link to that here in the chat if you want to look at it, because it kind of shares what are the trade-offs of certain body fat percentages and which one is going to, again, be sustainable for you and allow you to still enjoy life and live the life you want to live. That is something to take into consideration if you think that being really, really lean is the answer for you and that is where you're going to be healthy. I want to remind you, this is an important reminder, perfection is unattainable. It's impossible. Even the people who have what you might consider a perfect physique, they have their own problems. And again, they may not be healthy. They may not be happy with themselves. So it's really impossible to kind of have the perfect physique anyway. Everybody has their own issues that they're dealing with. So just trying to be healthy and make small steps, and recognizing that your body is going to change. It's going to change from month to month, to year. It's going to change through different seasons of life, and being okay with there being different seasons. It's also not the healthiest to be extremely lean for a very long time. This can lead to issues. Again, especially as a woman, it's healthier to have periods of, maybe getting a little bit leaner and then allowing yourself to gain a little bit of body fat. Those fluctuations are healthy and normal as a human being. Rudra asked, do you watch the UFC? No, not really. I have watched them before, but I don't watch it. How about you? Yeah, Cheryl, I would say the way I learned is through making a lot of mistakes that I would not wish other people to make, because I definitely think back to when I started working out more intensely and really wish that I had taken a more balanced approach, because I wouldn't have developed other issues along the way. Because when you send your body into a large state of imbalance in some way, like you shoot a bunch of stress in, which could be from, in my case, it was from like training way too much. If you put a bunch of stress on, other things start to crack, like gut issues. Like I've dealt with different gut issues that I think have come from pushing myself so hard and getting to a place where it really suppressed my immune system and kind of broke down and allowed there for, these gut issues to develop, different things that if I had taken a more balanced, moderate approach, there would never have been like a crack in there for other issues to come in. So I think having a moderate, balanced approach is really a much healthier way, and you set yourself up for less problems in the long run. It may feel really good to push hard or push intensely for a short period of time, and it's okay to do that now and then, but if you keep pushing that out for too long, you can cause other problems. Our body really needs like moderation in most things. So anytime we're pushing to the extreme, and again, if you're a professional athlete, you are pushing to the extreme, and that may be, some may be able to do that mostly in a healthy way, but most professional athletes develop either injuries or other problems because they are pushing their bodies to the extreme. So when you're pushing yourself to an extreme physical goal, just know that there are some trade-offs, and that was definitely the case for me. When I was training in kettlebell sport at the professional level, there was trade-offs that happened. It was no longer healthy beyond a certain point, but at that point in time, I thought it was worth it. And it may be worth it for some, but there are trade-offs to pushing hard for a long period of time, or pushing yourself to an extreme level. Yeah, the yo-yo thing is unhealthy. Absolutely, it is unhealthy. Rudra says he wants to do an Ironman marathon one day. That's cool. I used to think I want to do a marathon, and then I did a half marathon, and I was like, I think that's enough. But who knows? You never know. Might still do it. Super random, what's one muscle group you think most neglect that's essential for longevity? I think probably like the muscles of your diaphragm, and doing breathing exercises, because that's the only way you really are able to stretch or tone your diaphragmatic muscles is through breathing, and most people really don't like to do breathing exercises. So I would say that's probably something people neglect. The other thing I would say is it's not specifically muscle group, but I think learning how to control pelvis position, I think, is something that's really key that a lot of people don't spend enough time on. And I think that has a lot of that can have a lot of benefits for your lower back and for your connection between your upper and lower body. Elena also wants to do Ironman. I think my half marathon was like 1:39 maybe. It was pretty fast, to the point where I was like, if I did that again, I was really competitive at the time. I was like, I would need to beat that time, and it was already brutal. No, not like Kegels per se. Just breath work. And pelvic tilts would be just like literally tilting your pelvis back and forth. I don't know how long I trained for it. Probably a few months. I definitely did some training, but I don't think I really trained my pace super strictly, because I don't think I really knew what I was doing. I just went in there and wanted to compete with people, so I ran fast. Okay, so any questions about training for aesthetics, weight loss, fat loss, or training for health? Oh, Absolute said my mate's running a half marathon in the next 2 weeks. He's trying to get sub 2 hours, and it's not looking likely that he'll finish. That he'll finish at all, or that he'll get sub 2 hours? All you can do is just support him. And if he doesn't finish, well, he'll learn something for the next one. Do you look at your hormones in your diet? I mean, I think I definitely consider hormonal health when it comes to my diet. I think eating plenty of high quality proteins and fats are important for hormones, absolutely. Any bulking meals that don't taste horrible? Genuine question. Well, even just like, I don't know. I don't even really know what a bulking meal is, because I don't bulk. But I assume you're just asking about eating a lot of food. I think there's plenty of healthy foods, like just eating a lot of meat and, say, like rice or potatoes. Who doesn't like that? Like beef and potatoes, or like chicken and rice. I think they're pretty tasty, especially if you put the right seasoning on them. Rudre said, what's an exercise you absolutely dread? I don't really. I don't really dread anything. First of all, I don't do anything in my exercise that I dread. If I dread it, then I'm not going to do it, because it would make me like not want to exercise. I also really like to exercise, so if exercises feel good on my body, I enjoy doing them. But yeah, I don't do any exercises that I dread. Do you have any that you dread, Rudra? Cheryl, you said, I want to train for health and I don't know if doing 10 or 12 reps is warranted. Who created these numbers as benchmarks? That is a great question. Actually, Cheryl, you said you dread and won't do mountain climbers. Actually, that might be one exercise I really don't like either. You hit on, like, I don't like that exercise either. I used to work at a gym where one of the trainers would sometimes make her class do just like mountain climbers for like 3 minutes. And I was just like, oh God, so horrible. I would like never want to do her class because of that. As far as the 10 or 12 reps, that's a great question. You said, who created these numbers as benchmarks? I don't know. I think we like 10 reps because it's this like nice round to even number. I do think that there's some evidence for it with regards to they've done some different studies on training for hypertrophy or training for muscular endurance or training for strength, and that these different rep ranges with the corresponding, with like the appropriate weight can lead to different effects on the body, but you don't necessarily need to do 10 or 12 reps for health. You could do 3 reps of things and get benefit from it. It really depends on the exercise, how much intention you're putting into it, where you're at in your fitness journey. In my opinion, doing the minimum effective dose that you need to make progress and then building from there, like if you can get more from less reps, do less reps first, and you can always do more reps later. But I think quality over quantity is more important in my opinion. Rudra says he dreads battle rope. So tomorrow, if you guys are able to make it to my live tomorrow, it's going to be 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, so a lot later than today. But we're going to be doing a full body kettlebell workout. So if you can join me for that, make sure to join me. And if you haven't joined my Black Friday waitlist yet, you should absolutely join that, because we're going to be offering the best deal of the year on kettlebell solo programs and membership, which is what I teach. It's the way that I train with kettlebells to train in like a moderate, balanced, healthy way that I really enjoy. And our programs and membership are going to be on sale, but the best deal will only be available via the waitlist. There will be a deal on social media, but it won't be as good as the one you'll get if you join the waitlist. So make sure you join the waitlist. I'm going to drop that in the chat here. Rudra, you said, what's with the CrossFit pull-ups? Are they worth doing? You're talking about kipping pull-ups. I think there could be a time and a place for that to be useful depending on what you're doing. But if you're just building, if you're looking on building strength and health for longevity, there's no need to do kipping pull-up. You're better off spending your time building the strength and doing the drills to get yourself to strict pull-ups. That's going to build better strength than doing a kipping pull-up. But there may be, if there's a certain skill you want to do that requires kipping pull-up, there could be a time and a place for it. I don't want to condemn it as a horrible exercise, because it could be a good exercise. But I think it's not really worth the risk when you're a beginner. Other questions about training for aesthetics, training for health? Just so you guys know, in case you didn't hear me announce it on Monday, this is going to be my last week of lives until kind of like mid-December, because I'm going to be going on a trip for a few weeks. So there won't be any lives the next few weeks, but I will be back in December and still taking suggestions. If you have specific topics you'd like me to cover then, let me know. You can let me know now or tomorrow, or you can comment it on any of my YouTube videos, really. Thanks, Rudra. Appreciate that. I'd love to hear from you guys. Have you ever struggled with trying to figure out, had a goal that was really specific to aesthetics, to your body weight, to weight loss, and whether that did or didn't work out for you, and maybe what you focus on now or what you would like to focus on with your exercise? Yeah, I would say pull-ups can be a great exercise. I will say that they're not for everybody. For some people, they may not be the best exercise. Either they're still working on the strength to be able to even do some of the drills, or sometimes for certain shoulder injuries, tweaks, or pain, pull-ups may not be the best option. So it's not for everybody. I wouldn't personally recommend it as a blanket exercise for everybody. It depends on the person, and there's no one exercise that's so crucial that you need to do it. I said this during my live on Monday push-up tutorial, and somebody mentioned that push-ups aren't comfortable they have a shoulder issue and they can't really do push-ups. And I said, there's no exercise that's so important that you need to do it. There's other things that you could do that also work your upper body strength and that don't, say, compromise your shoulder if you have pain or injury. So I think those exercise push-ups and pull-ups are great, but they're not the end-all be-all. If you can't do them, there's other exercises you can do as well. Okay, Elena said kettlebells for swimmers would be highly appreciated. I can definitely add that to the list. Kettlebell for swimmers. Gretchen, you said you want to build bigger glutes and strong legs for aesthetics, but if I go heavier with the weights, I get a lot of back pain. What should I do? Form is fine due to the trainer at my gym. So, Gretchen, I don't know if you were here for the beginning of the live, but I personally don't subscribe to a huge focus on like aesthetics as the main goal. I think in your case, for example, that could be highlighting something where perhaps you want your legs and your butt to look bigger, but maybe your body, not saying this is what's happening, but your body could be saying that what you're doing is not good for it by, for example, responding with getting a lot of back pain when you try to go heavier. Maybe going heavier is not the best option right now. It doesn't mean you can't do that at some point in the future, but maybe there's other things to focus on. Make sure that you're also training in a well-rounded way, that you're also working your core, that you're working your upper body, that you're strengthening your back so that your body can handle the heavier weights for your legs. And also, maybe you need a period of time with lighter to moderate weights, and just staying with the weight that your back feels good with might be better for your body currently. And again, it's not to say that will always stay that way. I would also ask, like, why do you want a bigger butt and legs? Like, why is that an aesthetic that you want? Because again, I think sometimes what we want for an aesthetic isn't necessarily healthy for our body, and just really checking in with, like, do I need that? And is it worth potentially injuring my back to try to make my butt look big? Maybe it's worth it for you. Personally, for myself, I know it wouldn't be, but again, it depends on the person. But I think sometimes when we have an aesthetic goal, it can kind of warp the way that we see things, and we want that without listening to what our body is saying. So I would, just kind of try to tune in and figure out what is that back pain trying to tell you, and maybe there's an adjustment you could make. Cheryl asked, what would replace pull-ups? Well, if you can't do pull-ups or you're working towards a pull-up, I think building your upper body strength in general is a good idea. Working towards being able to do full push-ups, even though it's not the same exercise or range of motion, I think you can build a lot of upper body strength with push-ups that can translate to anything else, including pull-ups. Doing bent rows with a kettlebell, or doing like a suspension trainer row, is a good way to work similar muscle groups to a pull-up. If you have like a lat pull down, that's a great way to work similar muscles to a pull-up. But any strengthening of your upper body is going to help translate to working towards a pull-up, or you could do instead of doing a pull-up. Kelly asked, have you ever done an exercise to shape a certain area of your body, or does working with kettlebells for your sport back in the day give you the shape you liked or wanted? I don't know that I've ever really done exercise to shape a specific area of my body. I've definitely like target different areas, but I've more been one that's been motivated by competition, by challenging myself to do something. I like the aesthetic benefit, but I was always more motivated by competition or challenging myself or pushing myself than trying to make a certain area of my body grow. Kettlebell sport did definitely like tone my arms and my shoulders and grow my butt too. So it did affect the way that I looked, but there was also negatives to it because it kind of really tightened up my pecs from being in this position, and that can cause a little bit of forward head posture. So there was things I had to kind of undo from the shape of kettlebell sport. Rudra asked, what's your goal absolute? My goal is to be healthy, to feel strong and confident in my body, and to like live a long, healthy life and retain my mobility and strength as I get older. You're welcome, Gretchen. Thank you for your question. Cheryl, you said push-ups are also difficult. Cheryl, did you watch my tutorial on Monday? Because you can make your push-ups very doable if you like do them on a kitchen countertop. That's a great way to start working on your push-ups. Hi, Anderson. Thanks for joining. Thank you, Rudra. I wish you the best in health as well. Prakash asks, can pull-ups grow your biceps? Yeah, I think they can. I think they can strengthen your biceps. I don't think it's the best exercise to target your biceps, but I do think they can. Chin-ups will target your biceps more. Thank you, Anderson. I am doing well. Hope you are as well. Cheryl, you said your shoulder has limited range of motion. Yeah, I think that's definitely something to take into account when it comes to deciding which upper body exercises to work on. And that's the thing is, for all of us as we go through life, we're going to have different things come up that affect either our range of motion or strength, our ability to do certain exercises. And that's where, like, it's not the end all be all if you can't do certain exercises. You have to figure out what things can you do that really makes your body feel better. And so just working on, pain-free range of motion for your shoulder would be awesome, to just start to open up that shoulder and get a little bit more range of motion, and potentially adjusting, like say for push-ups, sometimes like I mentioned in that live, like elbows tighter to the body can take some of that focus off of the shoulders and put it into your triceps, and so that may be a better way if the shoulder has limited range of motion. Thanks, Olaf. I appreciate you saying hi and stopping by. I'll be back tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. for a workout. Samai asked, any tips for strengthening the lower back? Has been a little problematic for me after doing certain exercises. The main exercise I recommend when people talk about their lower back is to work on like a pelvic tilt. So that would be to work on being able to tilt your pelvis without squeezing your glutes, using your lower abdomen to tuck under, relaxed booty, using your lower back as you lift up. If you're able to do this exercise and have good control of your pelvis in different positions, it's going to help a lot if you have lower back stiffness, and if you are not properly engaging your lower abdomen, that can be problematic and overwork your back. So I would absolutely work on pelvic tilt and strengthening your core, and strengthening your lower back, doing exercises that strengthen your lower back as well. Mohan, you said you're a beginner and you need a basic tutorial. Can you help me? A tutorial for what? For strength training in general? You can definitely check out some of my basic kettlebell workouts if you have a kettlebell, or if you don't, you could always start with basic things like walking, push-ups, squats. Thanks, Prakash. Thanks for joining. That's awesome, Cheryl. I'm glad you're enjoying this talk. Thank you, Anderson. Appreciate that. I do my best to be positive and encouraging. Any other questions on training for aesthetics, training for health, kettlebells, fitness? Now's the time for your questions, because I just got one more live tomorrow and then I'm going to be gone for a few weeks. So you're going to have to hold your questions until I get back and restart the lives. The other thing I want to tell you guys about, we're going to be announcing this probably not for a few weeks, but I want you to know that I'm going to be doing a holiday giveaway in December on social media, and you're going to be able to win some cool prizes. We have 11 different brands that are sponsoring. You're going to be giving something away valued between $50 and $200 each day of that giveaway. So make sure that you follow me, subscribe here on YouTube or on Instagram, because I'm going to be posting that. That'll be mid-December, so you'll get a chance to win some cool prizes from different brands. And if you are a Kettlebell Solo member, you will get extra entries. So make sure that you do sign up for my Black Friday waitlist, become a Kettlebell Solo member with the deal, and then you will get extra entries, higher chances of winning during that holiday giveaway in December. You're welcome, Samai. Absolutely. Let me know if you have other questions. You're welcome, Mohan. Any sexual wellness related advice? Practice your pelvic tilts. They will help you with that. That's all I have to say on that. Any other questions? Anderson, wow, that was out of the blue, LOL. I mean, I think if you get healthy from the inside out and you get in good shape, then all those things will improve. Your life in general will improve. No, I was definitely not expecting that. All right, well, if there's no other questions, I think we're gonna wrap this up, and make sure to join me tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. We're gonna do a full body kettlebell workout, so make sure to bring a light to moderate kettlebell or dumbbell. That will probably work as well for most exercises. Thanks, South to West, appreciate that. Thank you guys all for being here with me, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day.